Whoops. Moving my computer around. Sorry. Yeah. Hi, how are you? Good, thank you. Oh, I hate these new. It's so hard to open now.
Oh, the water bottles?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like thinner.
Yeah,
Or,
even my husband, it's not just, I worry, but.
I'm doing good.
I'd like to call to order the special meeting of the Schenectady City Council, Thursday, February 15th, and we just have one committee, which is City Development and Planning. And our purpose tonight is to discuss to review the ARPA Rescue Plan Act funding. So you all have a lot of documents in front of you. And so I really wanted to have this meeting because we've been doing allocations for it seems like a couple of years. And we really need to, at the end of 2024, all the money needs to be allocated to projects. There are some projects that are still have time to come up with their contingencies. But tonight I just wanted to make sure that we went over what we have, where everything is, and what we need to be looking for down the road. So
Oh, I'm sorry, what was the date? It has to be allocated.
the end of 24, December 2024. So Ms. Carver provided us with information which is also in your packet towards the end to go over what's currently in contract. So I thought that was, we're gonna be doing probably some cross-referencing with documents, but I thought that was a good place to start, just to kind of review that. So, everyone has that? It's towards the end of towards the end. No, this sheet that she printed out for us, that made it very concise.
Oh, boy. Thanks.
So I just need to, the question's going to probably come up about how much money is left, and today, Mr. Gupamuk said there's about $50,000 after all that's allocated. Afterwards,
There's only
allocated.
$50,000 left? Is that what you just?
Well, prior to our last allocation, it was only 2.5 something. So yes, what's been allocated. So that doesn't count what's still out there that if it's a possibility, we'll be bringing it back. But
Gotcha.
in terms of allocation, that's what he said there was. So we can go through these, discuss, and have any questions, if discussing any of them. And then it goes on to page 2 about some other ones where there's asks for additional money. But as I said, right now, he said there's about $50,000 left. And there's some questions that, well, I'll wait till we get there. So everybody, have you looked through the first, in contract? Everybody's comfortable with those in contract? Okay. And then the next one is pending the contract draft, which is Cocoa House and DCNI Hamilton Hill infill project. So I think that's pretty easy, you could just go through that, those are already handled, basically. And if you want to know exactly how much money is allocated, there's a chart on the front of this that tells you what's allocated to each project. And do we need to go through that?
Yes.
On resolution 22-214.
So the
And 22-224.
Miracle on Craig Street money, 1.25, what happens with that?
Well, we're not there yet, so let's kind of go through where they are on there. It's just easier if we go through it as it is on the sheet that Ms. Carver provided for us.
Will she be
So-
present this evening?
She will not be.
Okay.
So, Ms. Dutoro, you were saying that you want to know line by line how much money was allocated to each? It's in the documentation provided.
Great. YWCA. Oh, there's the screen, okay.
And just keep in mind, what you have before you are the ones that are actually funding was allocated to,
Right.
you're on page 4, right?
Well,
This thing?
pages 4 through.
Yeah.
Yes,
Mhm. Resolution number 222-214 and 2022-224. Those are the resolutions where we allocated the funding.
Okay. So city projects are under in contract, they're separate.
So, yes.
Yeah.
The short answer is yes.
Yeah.
There is one city contract I just want to bring forward to say that at this point in time, our chief engineer, Mr. Wallen, says that Riverside Park, they haven't really, there's money set aside, but there's no plan right now. So I just want to make you aware of that.
I haven't seen that, hold on,
It's on page 9.
so the aquatic centers, I'm just on the second page, that's gone.
Yes, we rescinded that. We rescinded the money for the aquatic
So
center.
that's gone.
Riverside Park?
Something.
Yes, Mr. Williams.
So Mr. Colvin announced, I know the money's allocated, any plans, or is he foreseeing any issues with?
Mr. Colvin?
Or, wow, Mr. Wallen.
Sorry.
Mr. Wallen, with regards to Riverside Park.
He just says the money's been allocated, but there's been no plan. So right now, whether the park committee is not meeting. I know that the mayor talked about a skateboard park, I think, down there. But right now, there's no plan, is what he said today.
Thank you.
I'm not saying that we're talking about moving the money around,
Right.
but I just want you to be aware. Okay, so we're not, the Central Park pool, obviously we're not talking about, let's start with 214. Okay? If that's easier for everybody. All right, okay. So we're not talking about the pool, obviously, or the golf course. The money for the aquatic center was rescinded from that project. So now we're at Miracle on Craig Street. According to what Ms. Carver has provided to us, it says it's currently in the hands of Corporation Council. So I would ask Ms. Barash where that is.
I just have to record the deeds at they're returning the properties to the city.
Mhm.
So I just need to get to the
county office to record the deeds. So that we can effectuate the transfer. I'm hoping to get there tomorrow.
Okay. And so, well, we all know what the project was, and we know what we allocated towards it, and so I don't know if anyone has heard from other people, but however, I have heard from others regarding wanting the project to still move forward. So, yes, Ms. Williams.
Yep, so in line with that, I would be very opposed to reappropriating those funds to any other projects. Definitely this one project facilitates a really big need within that community, but also offers additional resources in addition to our Boys and Girls Club. I think everyone could appreciate, I think Mr. Mancini, in your inauguration, you highlighted the importance of the Carver Center. And I think every year that is not reinstituted is I think a disservice to the community. I think with this ARPA funds, very much this is generational money that we should use appropriately. And I believe with this project, it meets a lot of asks within the community. From myself, I've heard informally about I guess, quote unquote coalition that would be interested. So I think I'd like to hear if anyone's reached out to the mayor, but definitely I'd like to see our best efforts to ensure that this project is still able to be pushed through.
There has been informal inquiries from a group that I believe is, has the wherewithal to put a package together.
To keep it as a community center or for a different use?
A community center format.
A community center format, can you just give me a little bit more there? I'm not sure what that really means.
The initial anchor would be daycare.
And there's no other group that's approached you?
No.
Oh, well, okay, I know there's another group that's reached out to your office, so, just so you know that did happen, and the group reached out to me, and it's not, I did hear about the daycare group though, as well, but reached out to me, and I don't know if any other council members, did any other council members get phone calls from any other groups?
No.
Okay, well, there was those two groups that, reached out, so.
Mr. Williams, has someone reached out to you as well?
Yes, not in regards to a daycare though.
Okay.
So I heard from both,
What's the other one?
to keep it a community center, to be a community center, not with the daycare being the anchor. But maybe the daycare could be a tenant, as if we know about Carver before, for those of you that don't know. Carver was a community center and there was a daycare in there. So the other group is talking about remaining as a daycare and remaining as a community center where it stays a community center and they can have daycare services in there. And also, in my thinking, when we're talking about the Craig Main connection, I don't see why that could not somehow, we could look at that and ask for some additional funding to do this project because it's right on Craig Street, so that it stays as a community center. So that clearly there's some conversations that's going to be had around that. Did you have your hand up?
Yes,
Okay, Mr. Newberry.
so based on the conversation, there's two groups that is in communication with Mr. Williams and Ms. Porterfield. Can you have those two groups submit a proposal? And who are those two groups?
Well, I don't know if they're ready to, I mean, I can tell you, I don't know if they haven't said anything publicly, so what I can go back to them and say that they're ready to submit a proposal. Why don't we do it that way?
Yeah,
See if
I
they're ready.
think that would be ideal, is to have these two groups submit their proposal
Yeah.
in writing.
Okay, I think that's what we'll do it that way, as opposed to saying if this group is that group, we'll ask them if, because then we'll know if we get something formal from them, then we'll know we can talk about
And
it.
once they submit their proposal, then we can invite them to do a presentation
Okay,
to us.
right.
You need to be
Mr. Williams, I'm sorry, miss, you had your hand up,
I'm
I'm sorry.
I'm just thinking about this. I have to say that I think, I mean, that's a good chunk of change that we could be using in other ways for some of the other projects that have submitted requests for the funding. In light of the fact that we only have $50,000 left, this is another, little pocket. So I do hear what Mr. Mudavarian is saying, that I think that would be appreciated if we had a proposal or two. to actually be looking at something. Daycare is certainly a need. I'm not as convinced about the community center need, given some of the other opportunities that exist there. Is it
You mean
the same?
there, when you say there, what do you?
I mean, in that neighborhood, in that area, but is it the same group that was doing Miracle on Craig Street? I mean, do we know that?
The answer is no.
Okay,
I'm not gonna negotiate in public. If you wanna
Right.
go into executive session, I'll give you the update of
okay,
So, like I said, as Mr.
Okay.
Rivera suggested, we'll just ask them to submit the
And
proposals.
anybody coming forward, the reality is this project is about $2 million short if every dollar that's on the table now is put forward. So somebody that doesn't have $2 million
yeah,
in a readily available funding stream, I don't consider a serious contender this.
okay,
As the council president pointed out, we are under a deadline now of December 31st, and the reality is, it's really December 1st by the time anything
Yep.
is straggling out.
And
Mr.
I was gonna
Torres had a hand
add
up.
before,
Yes.
and that's what I was gonna add to it, because if there are groups that is making calls, they need to come forward with partners. With partners who's gonna be coming to this project, and exactly, if it's under $2 million right now on paper, we need to get people involved in an organization or foundation that is willing to commit additional money. We can't just go, what happened here, unfortunately, that we allocated $1.25 million and there is no additional partners, and we were told over and over that this was gonna happen, that there are people out there ready to jump on board and make funding commitment. And this project is still here with no other partners. We do not wanna go down this road again.
Mr. Torres?
I agree with what Mr. Rivera just said, and the mayor brought up the timeline that we're working with.
Yes, I can
And
say that as
since
well.
and since the deed is coming back to the city, I mean, the city should again decide this 1.25 million should go into whatever the city's going to do to make this building.
Well, I don't think we can exactly say that yet. I think we have to look at
Okay.
everything that comes to the table.
so should we set a deadline on the proposals? I mean, we can
Well,
ask for proposals,
so-
but when we want them in.
Are we,
March 31st is our deadline.
Well,
March
the
12th.
earlier we can get it is better, because
Yeah.
we're in March already.
No,
So the deadline, I think, was March 12th.
that we gave on a couple of the couple
Right,
of
so,
the extensions.
It's February 15th, right? So, the mayor did, Mayor, if you wanna reach out to, I know both groups, and so I know that you know who the other group is, so if you wanna reach out to them and, ask that, and I will reach out to the other group. So that then we will formally know that these groups really are interested, okay? Yes, Mr. Williams?
And I truly think it's worth noting, I don't think we should be so quick to discredit the efforts of the original group that was foreseeing or managing the Miracle on Craig project. It was a very, I appreciate the work that they were able to do up to this point. They saw this project continue to be a focal point for a significant amount of years. I think we all can agree to the fact that they weren't able to secure additional funding, as the mayor recognized, which is an important aspect of this. But I really do value the work that they were able to the work that they were able to do up to this point. And I think if there is any ability for our city to then put itself into this mix to ensure this project is saw through to its fruition, I think again the community is only going to be the one to benefit. And I think there were some barriers to other financial contributors adding on to this project. So hopefully with the backing of a coalition, which would represent multiple organizations, that might sway some additional funding to come to this. However, I do agree though, that our timeline, we are up against the wall. We do have the end of the year. And I do think if this coalition is serious about coming forward, I think it is our responsibility to at least hear them out with an open and objective ear.
Mr. Mutaveri?
Yeah, and if we're gonna do that, because we have to look at the timeline, I'm not sure when did we extend Miracle on Craig, to March 12th, March 15th?
I think it's
Somewhere
somewhat,
along that, if we're gonna do that, we have to get this coalition, this group in prior to that, because it's very important, because we have another one also on March 12th that we're gonna go on this list here. So we need to, a
absolutely.
level playing field across the board in terms of, are we gonna extend, and if we're not gonna extend, then we need to reallocate the money into projects that's gonna benefit the city.
Right, and so let me just, and I know that people are talking about other projects, but I also don't wanna, let's not lose sight of that the city is going to have to bond money. So if there's money that we can reallocate, I'm very much in favor in putting the projects that we don't have to bond, because bonding means that we're borrowing and we have to pay back. And if we can put it towards that, I see that as a road to go down, so I just wanna make sure that, we have the conversation about that. Because, why borrow money if there's an opportunity, to lower the amount that you're borrowing, so,
Just,
yes.
something just crossed my mind, in
Yes.
terms of what the service that was offered on Miracle Craig Street, isn't something similar that is being done at Cocoa House? Kind
No.
of similar?
No,
Well, the
Cocoa
use-
House is strictly about, it's like an after-school program.
After school program
Yes.
only?
Yes, that's all that it is. And and so, because I heard what you said, so, if you're talking about the Electric City Barn, that's really a maker space. And what has happened with Electric City Barn, it was just a discussion because they had an event there the other night, it's turned into having to use it as a community center because there's a lack of a community center.
I guess I meant the programmatic aspects of what the community center at Carver had done. And for example, the programs for youth are definitely being offered by Boys and Girls Club, by Cocoa House. There's programs at the 2 library branches. I don't think Carver had youth during the school day, right?
Beg pardon?
They didn't have services for youth during the school day, did they? Didn't it
They
also
did
get
have,
after-school
a program
programming?
if a child wasn't able to, if we want to talk about that in depth. They did have a program if a child was not able to stay in school because they were suspended. There was a program where the children could go to the Carver and they were in a program, I believe it was called the Latimer Program. So the answer to that question is yes. So, but we will ask for the proposal, so, because I don't want to, belabor and just get stuck on that particular one. The City of Schenectady, the Jury Foundation. So this one was one that I understand that it's been put on hold, and Mayor, if you could speak to that.
We're still looking at the Empowerment Center in this project. And I'm not up to date on what the actual negotiations are about possible merger, cross-utilization of some of the space, or program development.
When you say this project, which project do you mean?
Both of them, Duryea and the Empowerment Center.
So, all right, so so the Empowerment Center, Jury is contingent upon the Empowerment Center because that's not how they submitted their applications, but is that what we're doing?
I'm not sure what we're doing. It evolved to something separate from what the initial applications were.
All right, so, we'll definitely have to take a look at that. I'll ask Ms. Carver about that because, we're getting, anyway, multiple. And let's just so you know, when people call me, I give them all of your numbers and tell them to call you. Like, you need to call everybody.
So that would be a question for Ms. Carver,
Well, I would like some,
clarification, as would I.
clarification
yes.
on that, yes.
So, right from the start, it wasn't a combined project between the two or
No, it
the
was
two
not.
entities?
No, it's not.
I see.
So,
I'm looking at the original. Okay.
All right, the Schenectady Foundation, Sikkim SUNY, Schenectady, for the healthy food access. So are there questions regarding this one?
Well, I actually will say that right from the start, it was also supposed to include concern for the hungry, as you can see on the grid on page 5, and it just kept getting not put onto the other grid. I think in every single meeting, I kept saying, what happened to concern for the hungry? What happened to concern for the hungry? So in discussions that I had with previous staffing in the development office, they basically had told me that, and told Concern for the Hungry, that the money that they had given to the Schenectady Foundation part of it was to be used for the transportation program that Concern for the Hungry wanted to run, but that never occurred. So we got another email recently from Concern for the Hungry as we went down this path, still requesting funds be allocated for the transportation program. So I just wanted to put that back on the table because it didn't happen as part of this coalition. You can see it's on the grid here too, right? It's on this grid. So I just want to, hope that somebody would make sure that either this money, part of the $950,000, goes towards that transportation program, or, if we only have $50,000 left, that's, that would be, I think the email that we got recently, I'd have to go back and look, but I feel like it was $40,000 or $50,000 right there that they were asking for. Does anyone?
I don't remember the number, but, Mr. Mutaver, again?
So this one is showing on this grid here as in contract. Does that mean that contract is awarded to Schenectady Foundation, Sikkim, and SUNY?
Yes.
Yes.
And concern for the Hungry?
Schenectady Foundation
Schenectady Foundation covers
is the umbrella.
umbrella for that, okay.
Yeah,
So we are going to award $950 to foundation?
we
That's
did.
the exact.
They had the ability to draw down $950 as they developed the program. I don't know what's actually been drawn down.
And in terms of, I did also get the email from the group Concern for the Hungry, and one of the concerns with their application was the use of those particular funds. I remember this from the prior one, is that they wanted to buy bus tokens
They were
and then
trying to,
give them out to people.
yeah, but what they were really doing was working with the network of food pantries and actually giving money to the food pantries that could then be given out as, for example, an Uber or a Lyft or whatever to people, because it's such a major barrier. Transportation is probably the number one barrier for folks that are using various food pantries, because they can't get home with the bags of food. It's very difficult for them to do that. So I think Concern for the Hungry actually ended up just using some of their own funds to continue doing that through the food pantry. So they're not actually handing, you or I, a bus token. They're giving money to the pantries to be used for transportation, and that's what they were still looking for funds to do.
I have to review, well, first of all, this needs to, now, then, if this is already in contract and it's supposed to be a part of that, then we need to be talking to the
Yeah.
Schenectady Foundation.
So
Yeah, that's what I was
perhaps
going to
ask
ask,
the
if we
Department
can
of
contact
Development,
yes.
Schenectady Foundation, ask them to work with Concern for the Hungry.
or maybe ask the development office to.
Or we should go through the development office.
Concern for the Hungry requested $100,000.
$100,000.
Yeah.
That's the most recent email?
Well, yeah,
Okay.
That's the breakdown we have.
so
So that's in
anyone,
contract, that's gonna have to.
is anyone, are we holding anyone responsible to report back to us on how they're
Yeah,
Yeah.
appropriating this money?
it'll be part of the contracts that they would have to meet certain objectives and report back
Sure.
on meeting those objectives, the same as when we do the CDBG
Right.
contracts.
So are you asking, are we doing it, or is Department of Development doing it?
Development, right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Schenectady Little Leagues, the Blue Jays, so we know that a lot of this project was already done, the money, let me see.
Yeah, this money allocated and
Yes.
the
Well,
next.
The project's moving forward.
Right, is there anything left in that allocation?
The work has largely been completed at Michigan Avenue,
Right.
but there's some of it for Oregon Avenue
Right.
that would look to be done this season.
Right, so the money would stay there, but now we need to do what needs to be
Right.
done at Oregon
I
Avenue.
was just speaking with the gentleman from Oregon Avenue out there. So, can we have Alex find out how much money is left from that 300?
Well, we can find that from,
Yeah, there was a resolution that we recently passed, when Mr. Wallen came for us for an allocation for Mount Pleasant. And there was like close to 170-ish
I'm trying to find.
remaining, about that, don't quote me, but somewhere around there on that resolution. Remaining towards
Right now.
Oregon Avenue.
So far, this is from 350, you all have the document as
Yes.
well. 88,000 950 has been expended. There's a,
And then he came for an additional funding to bring that up to almost half.
right,
Yes.
so within
So
all.
there is about half.
They had spent about half.
Yes, towards Oregon.
Right. There's an ARPA analysis, and it goes
Mhm.
through all the programs and how much money's been spent. So there would be a lot of cross-referencing with these documents.
And
Yes.
actually, they are in communication because when we discussed
I
that.
beg your pardon?
When we had discussed that at the city council meeting here,
Uh-huh,
there were some emails back and forth to Mr. Walling. He is engaging the folks at Oregon Avenue in the development of that park.
so it was the same 350, but they wanted, and they spent a certain amount, but they wanted to finish a wall, and I actually drove by to see the wall, and it did look a little unfinished until the additional money was allocated, so it's still from the same 350, but they allocated a certain amount over to Michigan, and then the rest will go over to Oregon. Seat Center is already in contract, I do believe. Yes. Safe Incorporated is already, also, the Safe House is already in contract.
Yep.
The Green Market is in contract. So, then we can go on to the next resolution, where that's where the rest of them are, 2022-24. On page 9, because the ones before the city projects. So we already know that Jerry Burrell and the Central Park Pool and all that, those are city projects and moving ahead. BCNI for the foreclosure prevention is in contract. They're calling it the infill project, but I believe this is the same way as the owner occupied rehab. No, it's not, take it back. No, it's not. Okay, so there's a pending contract for the BCNI Hamilton Hill infill. And then the BCNI owner occupied home repair and rehabilitation program is in contract. Electric City Food Co-op is pending submission of contractual documents. That's what it says. I think the next part, let me just turn this page because it seems like it's easier to go this way.
Go back to the last one, you said they are in.
It's,
submitting-
on this one,
Yeah,
show,
they're submitting contractual documents.
that she says it's pending submission of contractual documents, the information from Ms. Carver.
On this one, John.
Okay.
Let's see, the Hamilton Hill Drop-In Center,
Can we get some information on this one?
on the Hamilton Hill Drop-In
No,
Center?
the electricity, food, well,
You want Ms. Carver to give us some information?
yes.
Sure.
That's what really, because submitting the contract, is it submitting the application documents? I just wanna know where we are.
Okay.
Because they have to receive matching funds also here.
All right, I think what we can do is, as we go through these and find out what we need, then we can ask Ms. Carver to provide that to us. And we, again, think if we have just a meeting solely committed to this, we can stay focused on that. We can ask her to be here the next time.
The reality of that project is site control. You have to identify the site where the building is gonna go. That is still a fluid situation. You can't put a building up if you don't have a site.
That was the reason why I wanna ask what the document is being submitted, because there is no, that's what I wanted to.
Confirm
find
site.
out.
But it is
Yeah.
March 12th, I mean, we did
Yeah.
give them a deadline of March 12th, in terms of coming up with the, I
And
don't know
I-
what they needed
And my understanding that Metroplex is working with them on that, so,
for the site, yeah.
yes. So we'll have to find out where that is.
So hopefully we can get that in the next Tuesday, maybe?
Well, we won't be doing this again on Tuesday.
No, if we can get some information at least to move from, Tuesday, so that'd be nice, so we know. Because
Well,
March 12 is around the corner.
Yes, it is. So we'll ask Ms. Carver, then when she said another meeting to have her here as these things that we need some updates on. And meet in short order. Is there more questions about the co-op? All right, on page 10, the Hamilton Hill Art Center is currently in contract.
Center.
Cocoa House is pending their contract. The Boys and Girls Club is, let's make sure it's the right one. Yep, they're in contract. YWCA is on this sheet. Okay, the
wrong
critical
on-
needs,
yeah.
the critical needs is the first one. And that one's in contract. And then the second one is the Harbor House. On your paper, on the one where it says pending submission, it says YM, but it really is the
It's supposed to be
YW.
YW. Yeah.
Right, and their ask is for $750,000. But as I recall, didn't they come and ask for additional funding?
Yes, yes.
It was over 1.5 million, I think it was, the additional ask.
The discussions are still, they're looking for ARPA funding. There may be other options with the overall funding of the rehab of that building.
So are you saying they're not now asking for the additional 1.5?
They're asking for it, but I'm just saying that they're,
We don't
We
have
don't have it.
looking at other scenarios, and it's still finalizing what the exact numbers are gonna be.
So they're gonna be held to the same standards as everyone else in terms of meeting their contingency?
Well, that's up to city council. I'm trying to line up the funding for the project as a whole.
I think we need to hold everyone on the timeline, because we have been backward to extend timeline.
Unless the mayor asks you for a favor, right?
No.
Well, then everybody, then we each
We've
get a
been
favor.
backward to extend it over and over. I think it was not favorable when we extended, and now we're asking at this point in time to extend it.
Well, you know, I
We
have,
gotta be careful
okay,
what we're doing.
go ahead, Ms.
It's cut off a little bit on this sheet, but
Okay.
are they one of the ones that we had the March 12th as a, we did not approve giving them more than the 750,000.
No, we did not. They came, but they did not ask, but
Right.
we did not approve.
But I know there was more than one that had the 312.
Harbor House is right here. Oh, you're trying to see where this says way out there? Pending city for more funding requests, yeah, of 1.5 million. That's what that says.
Okay, so, but it didn't have a March 12th deadline or anything like that on this particular project? I don't think so.
Yes, every one of them has
Yes,
a
yeah,
timeline.
I think they did.
Oh, okay, well then,
Yes.
So they're not asking us for the 1.5 anymore, Mayor. You're,
Oh, yes, they are.
oh, yes, they are. Okay.
I think they might be asking for a little bit more.
Wow. We're gonna consider them, we're gonna try to have to consider other people that need shortfalls, wouldn't we?
we don't have money anyway.
I know we
right?
don't.
Yeah.
We don't. We have about $50,000 is what,
Some of these agencies needs to go to look at other opportunity for funding.
okay, so that was a 750, and so have any more questions regarding that one? Right, I'm sorry?
I'm talking to myself.
Oh, okay. All right, Habitat for Humanity is currently in contract. We're still on page 10. And SCAP is in contract, and as we recall, we allowed them an opportunity to repurpose the funding.
Yes, yeah.
Bethesda House is for $200,000 currently in contract, but they did come and ask for an additional, I believe it was $200,000
Did they up that to 300, 400 at the end?
Yes, I think they asked.
They upped it to 4?
Yes, somewhere there, yes.
That's on top of the 200.
That's correct.
Oh, 4
Yeah.
more. Well, I guess our answer to everybody is we don't have the
We
money.
only have $50,000.
You can each have 10. So we did the Harbor House. Let's see, Center, Bethesda House. So they're asking for additional 400,000 instead of Mayor? I'll note it.
That's in the document,
Here, I
yes.
think,
Is that the number, Jeff?
Yeah, it's
yeah,
on
it's
there,
it's
yes.
right here.
Yes, it's $400,000
Right.
upward.
Okay, all right. We'll make note of
I
that.
believe on top of the 200,
Yeah,
right?
plus,
It
yeah,
is,
so
it
4
is
plus 2,
extra
yes.
400,000.
And
Yes, Mr. Williams?
I think it's worth noting that a lot of these projects found that, hey, they can increase their capacity with additional funds. So I think and trying to repeat what Councilman Farley would say is, it's appreciating or not short-sighting the good with the great. So I think with the money we currently allotted, we've done a lot of good within the community. And I think as people are trying to expand to do more, I think we're recognizing in the closing months of these allotments that essentially just the money's not available. So I would like it for us to stay presently aware of, contractually, there are projects that are well positioned to do a lot of good in the community. I think we should remain focused on that. As we essentially are having to tell certain projects, there is no additional funds out there at this present time.
The project costs increased, I think is what they're saying in their letters.
It is.
Construction costs got higher than they expected by $400,000.
My question would be to everyone that's asking for more money, is this the only place you're coming? If you have an additional, let's say 400,000, are you just coming straight to looking for the ARPA funds, or are you looking for money other places? Because we can't be, there should be that diversity of looking for funds. So,
Absolutely, yeah, we should not be the only source of funding for projects. We need to go out and seek additional funding. Other agencies, other municipalities, the county has funding also that they can tap into.
I mean, I can't speak for all these agencies, but I would think that their development staff, their executive directors, I mean, just from my past experience
So I
in
think
working, that they probably are looking for other sources of funding. I'm sorry,
Go ahead.
I do want to say, I think when Ms. Carver was here, one of the weeks that she was here, I was heartened to hear that our office is also providing technical assistance to some of the agencies, which I was really glad to hear that, they will use their expertise as well to talk to the agencies. But it might be worthwhile for, us to host something at some point where we talk about diversifying funding and sources that are available for nonprofits to be able to seek funding, I mean, that kind of thing. But I was thrilled that Ms. Carver mentioned that they are giving that kind of technical assistance to our agencies.
I think the Department of Development has done that pretty consistently, and especially around CDBG. So I think that this is they're just expanding it because it's more money. And so we're just offering it. So that's something that we have done before.
And talk about that, they do have two trainings scheduled this month.
Yes.
Yeah. You were happy on that email.
Well, we
were asked to
used to
share.
focus on CDBG,
Oh, the
But then-
CDBG, oh, yeah,
Right.
but then
put those on.
within
Facebook
CDBG,
pages.
you get people to look at other options that may
Yes.
be out there for the need or project that they're trying to do or undertake.
Yeah. All right, so on page 11 now, the top of page 11, the Art Center and Theater of Schenectady doing business as Pathers. As you recall, the money that we allocated, they submitted, what they submitted was prior to the actual grant, and so therefore we rescinded those funds. However, we're now getting a letter. Did everybody get a copy of it? It's in your packet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no,
You got the email?
received it.
yeah.
Okay, so now they're asking that we allocate the funds, I guess, based on what we've done with other groups. And you took the money, but then reallocated it to the same organization, but for a different use. They're asking for the same consideration.
I would support that, that ask, because it's their roof, it's obviously giving them major problems, and given what Proctor's contributes to the economic development, of the city, I thought it was a pretty valid, change of use, I guess, I don't know the correct term, but we have done it for some other organizations, in terms of changing what the original proposal was, so I would support it. I don't know what the rest of you feel, but.
I'm not opposed. Oh, go ahead, Mr. Toro.
Where is that 76,000?
Yes.
Is that
It hasn't-
back in the 50?
Spend,
Yeah, we haven't used it. No, so everything, what is left is only what's been unallocated. Everything that you're seeing before you is considered an allocation. So the 76,000 is not out there.
So it would be added to the right now, the 51.
Okay, it was rescinded and back into the bucket,
Mhm.
but we
So-
spend it out, we only have $50,000
You,
remaining.
so you,
It's
that,
already-
that's
So it was
that's part of
used
the,
for
okay.
something, some other
So
projects,
there's not even 76.
so
Oh,
it's not even 76.
and wait, and so the return money from the Kiwanis also, Mayor, went back?
I don't know that.
I don't know that, that's necessarily
Did we
correct.
rescind the Kiwanis?
They turned it
They
back
did
themselves.
they did the
So they
project without
couldn't
our
do it.
money.
Right,
We looked at it internally, not the 10,000, but
Let's
we
see.
took some amount of money, could have the carpenters and the city
Yeah.
crews build some picnic tables, either for parks or some of the other locations that they had, thought they were gonna do
Let's
a
see.
Kiwanis program.
so let's just see if, because, Mr. Buchman provided us with all of these, so let's just see if it's, on the ARPA analysis that he provided to us.
So what we, as Porterfield, so what we need to do is to look at, Kiwanis and rescind this money and keep it into the city, because since the city is gonna be doing the work, we just reallocate it back to the city.
Is that,
Well, and remove it officially from this,
I don't know if it's been pulled back or not, we looked at, it, but we wouldn't need the full 10,000.
it's in here as the money, although the money is here.
yeah, it's in that list, but we never
Yes.
rescinded.
No, they said we could have it back,
Yes, so.
right,
But did
so
we?
we did not do anything formal yet.
So we need to do a formal amendment to this resolution to rescind this money and hold it back into the city bucket.
So, I'm sorry, Mayor, you said that the city's going to build these picnic benches?
I said we could. Now, part of that is the staffing in January, February, slower. As the weather starts to warm up, we may not have staff have the free time, they're gonna have other projects that they have to get pulled from. But again, if the council wanted to do that, we could, how many picnic tables were they looking to build? 36?
36.
I don't know what those sites are, so we could look at putting those together and identifying sites where they would go, either some of these pre-identified organizations or within the Central Park, within the park system, including Central Park.
You know, I don't know if they decided where they wanted them, I'm agree with you. And the other thing is it because we would do it, is it really gonna cost 10,000?
No, but
Because
that's what
we
I'm
have
saying.
a larger capacity to buy materials, et cetera.
What I would say is we'd only need the cost for the materials.
Okay,
And I don't know, and is that one of the areas when they did these costs, lumber was one of the things where it went up dramatically during COVID, so that where say normally it would have been $2,500, is it 5,000 to cover it, or how many do we actually need or wanna build?
right. So we have to do the resolution to
Yes. So
take
we
that
can,
out. All right, hold on.
So, just a comment on the practice letter. I don't have an issue funding the 77,000 because the project is $255,000. And they're gonna be fronting all the additional money. They did submit an application to us for $76,000, we rescinded because of they had paid for the work already. So my suggestion is that we should hold this and see if we have additional funding that is coming back in that we might have to rescind. And then make this allocation. I would just lay that on the table.
Okay, and we should just also make sure that it's a cost that can be covered by ARPA. We just have to
Yes.
make sure of that. We
Yeah.
definitely have to make sure of that.
I bet it is because.
I'm not gonna bet, I'm gonna
Yeah.
read it up.
No, just in terms of what the original guidelines were, this one
Casino's not
actually,
getting any money from our company.
I think this one really fit
You
in
were gonna
with
bet
it.
on something.
Oh, I was like, what are you talking about, Mr. Tino?
Sorry, I
I'm gonna have some more.
Okay, so, I agree with that, but again, we want to make sure that this is an appropriate use of the funds, and we don't have any problems with getting money clawed back. Mr. Williams, you had a question?
Yes, or, a question, a comment. So to the proctors, I think you're asking where each council member or kind of hinting at
Yes,
that. I agree, and I think based on the context of how we reevaluate other projects, I think the only difference is just as of now, we only have the 50,000, but I would be in agreement with reevaluating it later or committing the 50,000 that we do have now. But then secondarily, I know we're talking about Kiwanis, and just wanting to add two comments at once. I think part of the selling point for me, or what I appreciated with the project, was that it was youth-driven. So the only thing I would ask as mayor is, would it be appropriate for the carpenters to partner with one of our local construction agencies? And I think 36 is a big number, especially if lumber is going up, but I think even if we scaled it down, I think just delivering on some would be a nice win, especially for our parks.
Yeah, it's possible to make something work.
Yeah, we should probably look at the
Add
application.
it to the rebuilding of the Mount Pleasant welcoming sign.
Oh, goodness. You're not in enough trouble.
Exactly. You really wanna go down that road?
The guy's ridiculous.
Ted's pen, so.
We can talk to you later about that, Ted. We're not talking about
Ready for
that.
that tomorrow.
All right, okay, hold on.
Speaking of Mount Pleasant, so Father Jim had put in for the kids in Mount Pleasant to have $50,000 allocated for his basketball court up on Pearl Street. So I'm putting that out there because he did resend a letter to us in, to reconsider his application in October of last year. To reconsider his
So that's part of the
original
church?
application, yes, Holy Name of Jesus,
So
Father Jim.
on the church parking lot, not a park, right?
Right, no, right.
No,
No,
no.
the little
It's
triangle.
Island.
in front of the church, there's a little island or kind of there, and what his proposal was, apparently kids throw footballs out there, play baseball, whatever, and his suggestion was to put a basketball hoop off the backboard and that.
Excuse me,
God bless.
And
thank
the
you.
church would help maintain it, monitor it, and police it.
Is this city-owned property that we're talking about?
Yes.
Main Wing and Pearl Streets.
Yeah.
I'm looking
So I can't picture exactly, but so it's a city-owned property, and he wants to put up a hoop, essentially, and pave it. What?
No, it's just nothing.
He's an intricate part of that neighborhood in Mount Pleasant with a
I'm not
food
questioning
pantry. No,
individuals,
I'm just saying, and that's why he still keeps advocating for it, for the kids. My daughter lives right there on Pearl, so I'm very familiar with that whole little section there and what Pastor Jim, Father Jim does over there, but.
I don't know what it looks like, but, and if it's city-owned property, I think we have to take that in consideration if that's, I can't picture it, so I can't really speak
Yeah.
to.
I just want to
what it
bring
looks
that
like.
forward again, that he's consistently sent his
And,
application out
and
again.
also, if the city is doing major other projects, if this is just paving, okay? Is it something that we could just do without,
Striping problem.
I beg your pardon?
It probably has some striping for.
Right, the same like they're doing on other parks, is there something that we could do in addition to when we're already doing other parks?
It could be, but
Yes.
they put it in an application
Right.
originally and then asked us to look at it again.
Well, we have to take into consideration, we have the park on 10th Avenue, Congress Street, Orchard Park, and then we have the one at Education Drive. So these are all parks that can be used because we have spent a lot of money, but upward of $40,000-$50,000 to outfit those parks. And the last one was Orchard Park. A lot of money was spent there, and all these equipments are in there, so youth can go there and participate and, enjoy those equipments.
So there wasn't, oh, there it is, Holy Name of Jesus.
So they are facility that they can use in Mount Pleasant.
Putting
But
forward,
if it's something, I don't know that, I'd have to see it because it's hard to speak to something when you can't see it. If it's something that, I'm just concerned about, sometimes we see these basketball court hoops and they end up being in the right of way and all of that, so I'd have to kind of see what that looked like. And
just bringing
that would be
it forward
considered, oh no,
on his
listen,
behalf for the kids in Mount Pleasant. That's what he told me to do.
but as Mr. Moody said, there are a number of parks there, but it's certainly in consideration. I would like to actually, to be able to see it and make sure it's not in the right of way, because sometimes we do have that with basketball hoops and we now, well, I won't mention them, because we've had people bring, do other facilities that weren't, probably weren't under the city's control, and then it was built anyway, so we do need to take a look at that. The Stockade Association. So that was money that we originally, assigned to the Stockade Association, then rescinded because the city was doing the project. And see how much we've spent on that one. I don't even know if it's showing here. Okay. Man, I thought that there was some work done there, and I see that, I don't see anything. Where
There
it's-
was some work done on the outside to, help secure the building, but I don't know what the
So
dollar is.
are they calling it the North Street pump station now? As opposed to the Stockade Association, yes.
Well, that's
So-
what the building, what they were gonna do it, it's,
Then they've expended $17,000 so far.
and that makes sense. They
Oh, I see.
did some repair for windows and,
Right, okay.
patching.
So that project is still moving forward to do that. It's
Yeah,
just under the
still-
city now.
Well, it's still come to the final utilization of the building. To when there's not a floor, you have a well that drops down to the lower level, so it's, what do they wanna do with it? Do you wanna put a floor across it? Do you wanna use it as some type of community room,
Visitors.
public bathrooms, visitor center?
Okay.
And anything above the basic repairs to that building, I don't believe this allocation is gonna be enough to cover all the expenses.
Okay. So you're saying what the neighborhood has asked for, you don't think the funding that's allocated is
Well,
going to do that?
some of the ask is still a little bit vague, so it's to finalize that, to come back to the council, have the council approve it, and then we actually move forward to either do some of the work in-house, or it's gonna have to be bid out and a contractor brought in to do the work.
So I'm gonna put down for the Stockade Association that we need that. I thought they said that several times, but you can ask again. Let's see. I think in terms of the allocation so far, we've covered everything. We did get an additional, all of us, got a letter from the YMCA, Black and Latino Achievers Program, asking for $100,000. But I think that what we've said so far is that right now, there's no money out there.
Plus it was a new,
Plus, well,
that one was pretty new. That was a new ask.
so was the event center, so we probably don't wanna go down that road.
I'm sorry, which one?
I said, so was the event center, a new ask. So I don't think we can use that as a saying to someone that this is a new ask. We just really don't have the money right now. There just isn't money there. And that's always been a concern for me. If we open the door, which Mr. Farley did ask us to open the door, again, several months back, and we said we weren't doing that in terms of entertaining new applications, although we have done that in a way. So, the letter was to you, Mayor. Did you want to respond to them in terms of this? What was to both of us? Let me just put it all over you.
It's up to the city council as to what you do.
Yeah.
I-
Well, at this point in time, I think our response is currently we don't have any additional funding. But we have to really consider, even if we did, were we willing to consider it, that we need to be really open and honest about that. There's no point in saying it's not because we have money and then we get money back, and then what? So we have to be open and honest about whether or not we're going to be entertaining other applications. No opinion?
Well, of course I am.
Mr. Toro?
Well, I mean, there were a host of original applications. Obviously, not too many have thought that there'd be money rescinded and come back for an ask on there. Should we put that out there? If we do get extra money, is there anyone put an original application? But no one seems to be knocking our door down, as far as original ones. So I guess whatever comes in, if there's any money left, we'd have to consider.
Because we do have a lot of applications that, from the original list, which I'm looking at, that never made the first cut.
So what do you say?
I don't know, I don't have an answer.
Mr. Williams?
Well, I think the difficult answer is we can't entertain any new projects, and I think it's unfortunate, but I think if we look at the process it was for the Planning and Development Office to get to this stance, it is a considerable lift, and I appreciate the investments that Ms. Carver and her team has done to continuously give us updates. That is not without the effort, and that's in addition to the work that they're doing now. So definitely want to give her office and the mayor kudos for getting us to this point now. But unfortunately, should we even have the money, are they in a ready status to be able to proceed with contracts? And are they in a geared up stance? And I don't want to assume no, but to Ms. Porterfield's question, do we want to give that false hope? So I think there was conversations previously about any unallocated money going to address the issues with not having to proceed with bonds. And I think that's an appropriate measure. Again, we did make considerations for projects that didn't submit projects, or that didn't submit applications, i.e. the multi-purpose arena. And I can very much confidently say that if anyone asks me in the community, I think that is a similarly use, if not better use, than the aquatic center. So that's how I can justify it. But for a new project, I fear having to reopen that whole pipeline, because unfortunately we'd be doing it for one or two projects. And then so I truly would not want to open our council up to just, it would be a hard no for a lot of people. And I think that would put us in a very a precarious situation.
Mr. Mancini?
Well, I think we should take a look at, projects that are all in good standing and the money that's left over, and then look at those projects and maybe reallocate it to those agencies that priorities that we select that are in those areas that are important to our community, and maybe offer them opportunities to expand their application and programming.
Yes, Ms. Patrick?
I think also, we can also, encourage people to go to those CDBG meetings that are coming up as well, and consider putting in applications for CDBG.
And we can also encourage people to look at other funding sources.
Oh, yeah, no.
I think that's it. So I think that we really have to be honest with the people that come to us for money and make some of those suggestions, because we don't have a never-ending pool of money. We simply do not. So I think we're doing them a disservice when we continually, if we're not at least asking them, are there other ways, or something Mr. Mudavaren brought up before, if there's ways that they can combine
I was
some
gonna
of the
talk about that.
services that they do. I don't think we're, that's gonna matter at this point in time, but sticking with the YWCA, MCA rather, what becomes our response to them, because they did write a letter asking, and if we're not even going to be entertaining additional applications, I think we should just be upfront and let them know that and respond to that and close that door, as opposed to letting them think that perhaps it's full. The letter saying there's no funding left, but we're looking, leaves the door open, in my opinion, to that, if we get funding, maybe we'll look at your application, and I don't think that's what I'm hearing. Mr. Mutavera?
So yes, the last time we discussed, I did discuss this at the last committee meeting, and to kind of put some suggestion out there. Last year, we did fund through the budget, I don't remember the exact number, but the youth program through the school. 150,000. And in this year budget, we have another $150,000 allocated. So is the school going to use all that money? And can we have them partner with the city and the school to kind of tap into what they're doing, the school and the city, to kind of work together, rather than us have a pocket there and a pocket there? Just makes sense. So that's something I'm going to throw again and bring them to the table and then discuss, because I'm sure their money from last year left over, they didn't spend. And this year, we bring them in and let them be a partner
I
with
think,
this, youth program.
with the youth employment, I thought that was our summer, you know,
Right.
kids that work in, I think we,
Yes.
yeah.
So that's something that's very
Yeah, but
different.
we are not using, I don't think we're gonna be using all that money,
Oh, we could
are
be.
we?
I'm
Yep,
gonna
they
plan
did,
to
they did last year.
hire,
Yeah.
well, it was basically all used, whatever was allocated in the 23 budget. And then, again, if you don't use it, it's just rolled into the final numbers going forward. It's not like it's sitting there in a separate pot.
Yeah, I think we need to bring them in and let them have a discussion,
Bring in, I'm sorry.
that's
Why?
why
YMCA?
MCA.
Because I think they already partner with the school district on the Black and Latino
Right,
Chambers
they do.
program, but yeah,
They
I
already
mean,
do.
yeah. They already partner with the school district.
Right.
Because this money, the $150,000 is for a program through the school.
It doesn't say, that's the question, I don't know what it's for. The 100,000?
Isn't it working with the school directly?
But it's recruit kids
That's
to
the summer.
work really for the city and the parks and activities during the summer.
So with this 100,000, for me, it wasn't clear exactly what they wanted, they said they just wanted it programmatically, but I didn't see a budget attached, and I don't know exactly what the use was.
To expand.
But, yeah, that's pretty, it's kind of general, so,
That's what I'm saying, we need to bring them in and to kind of, sit to the table and talk about this program with the Department of Development, with the mayor's office, and see if they can.
Like separate from this ARPA.
Yes,
request.
separate,
so is that a responsibility of ours, or is that?
I'm not sure.
I just wanna
Reach out.
I just
I
wanna
think
clarify.
it's
what
all
you're
our
saying.
responsibility,
But I mean,
to bring
the
that.
150 that's in the budget is for summer youth employment, that we
150.
hire those students to
Did you
work
say
in our parks.
850 or 150?
The 150, that's not the YMCA, that is the money that the city uses to hire youth to work in our parks. So that's how we maintain our programs that we're doing in the parks in the summer, so
Maybe even
let's not think
lifeguards
about
this
that 150. This 100, in terms of this program, it is very generic in the letter, in terms of what are they asking for, but it would be to support the actual program itself, which provides,
Oh, no,
I mean, it provides all sorts of stuff, but
this
this
is a great program,
yeah, it is.
it's
I mean,
outstanding,
Yeah,
I can't disagree with that.
We're gonna need lifeguards,
yeah, no, we can't touch that
We're
one
gonna need
hundred
the
and
people
fifty
on the
for this
pool,
program, I guess is what
all
I'm
those
saying.
things will add up this year to next year. It's not only in the parks or somewhere else, it's about open up, widen the scope of, the youth employment
So what are you
during
saying?
that summer.
Oh, add $100,000 to what we already put into the 150, I'd be all in favor of that, but I'm just saying, I just don't wanna combine, I don't wanna confuse that this ask is similar to our summer youth employment program.
No, I'm not saying it's
Oh,
similar, we need to find out, bring them to the table and find out what they're trying to do. Is it similar to what is happening on this program? And we don't know, it's not specified in that.
I mean, I was on this
We're
steering committee for years, so.
reworking the numbers for the new swimming pool and the pools during the summer with the Boys and Girls Club. We don't hire those directly. We contract with the Boys and Girls Club to manage those facilities. Again, it's the same thing, John, they're kids, whether they're
Yeah,
working for the city or working with the Boys and Girls Club, they're
Right.
out there, but it's just how you actually match up the numbers.
And the only reason that I'm coming back at this is because I do think, listening to what Ms. Porterfield said, we don't wanna lead them down the track of thinking that we have $100,000 that we could give to them. So bringing them in to describe the program, I mean, it's an awesome program. But I don't think that we have money to give to them. But if you wanted to just learn about the program, sure, but I think that's what I heard you saying, right? That you
Yeah.
didn't wanna give them false hope.
I do not, and Mr. Munaway, yes.
Yeah, I don't think it will hurt because we're gonna bring in two other groups to discuss about the miracle, how we move forward with the miracle.
that's
So they say, is it something?
Totally true, we already.
Yeah, but it's also very different, that
Yeah,
money's
it's
already
different.
there,
Yeah,
so that's very different, that those aren't apples and apples, those are apples and oranges.
that way we're able to understand the program more and we know exactly what they could be doing. So
I suggest-
if we decide to fund them down the road, we know exactly why we're funding them.
I would suggest that we ask for them to provide something a little bit more in writing. And then also, I don't know where their house in Schenectady, does anybody know that?
Schenectady
The
YMCA.
YMCA?
Yeah, it is.
So they are in
YMCA.
the YMCA. So is CDBG a place that they could also ask for this funding?
I believe so, but it's been years since I've applied for CDBG funding, so I can't remember the parameters
We're just
of
telling everybody to go
the
there, right?
funding, but, would you have that kind of specific idea?
Well, I would say generically they can, it always gets down to the specific details in which category it's coming out. So, some things you might sit here and say, oh, yes, they would qualify, when they actually do the application, say, oh, no, it's not, or we've reached the cap
Yes,
of other
so
programs.
those four categories.
Right, so, Mr. Moonberry, you really talk about.
No, that's fine, I'm good if they submit more documents or meet them in person, that's fine.
Okay. I think
Either
that,
way is okay with me, but I just need to know more of what they're doing
Yeah, it'd be,
and the areas that can be covered, because we don't want to duplicate. We have seen over years that sometimes we duplicate the service, and we have talked about that over and over. The outcome, you know,
so, I mean, we can ask them, but I just wanna, we have to talk about how to word it, but we just wanna know more about it, that we're not making any commitments. We
I
have to
agree.
definitely know we're not making any commitments, because then
Interested
we'll be
in
in the
your
newspaper
program.
saying we made a commitment.
and we also need, all of us, including myself, will invite them to this CDBG presentation for them to attend those seminars to equip themselves and to understand the CDBG program. So if they're qualified, they can submit an application.
Okay, so we've come to the end of all the ones that we said, that we've allocated money to, and we've gone over what those things we need additional information from Ms. Carver, or from the mayor's office.
This is an FYI,
Sure.
you were looking at, we did modify the resolution to include concern for hunger at one point in time, so it's in this package.
yeah,
The
that's, no,
language.
it was in some of it, but
Yeah.
it wasn't in all of it, it just
And
kept not.
Sorry.
And what they're saying is that they've not been included.
No one's been.
So
They
that's,
have not been included.
that's a conversation that happens
Within the
with
resolution.
the,
No, not us. It's not us that didn't include them.
Right.
That's not what they're saying.
The umbrella of the.
what they're saying,
funding.
Mr. Mooneyman, is that when it got over to the Schenectady Foundation, they were left out. That's what is being said, so that conversation needs to happen with the Schenectady Foundation, and also, we'll talk to Ms. Carver, I think that's what my note
I
says.
think that would be a good
about
idea
that.
for Ms. Carver to
Yes, I think that is what my note
facilitate
says.
that.
I will speak to Ms. Carver regarding that. Yes. Are there other things out there that, in terms of the allocations that people, and then we'll set another meeting, however, but go ahead, any other? Yes, Mr. Williams.
Just for a point of clarification, it seems like there's 3 projects that are still open, or that we're still waiting for more information. The first is the Carver Community Center. The second is the Empowerment/Theory Center, and then
Yes.
the last is the Harbor House. So I think for myself, just wanting to be clear, I think we kind of hit or addressed this issue in a number of fashions, but again, it's like entertaining new projects. I think following up on what Mr. Mancini said, it was how do we bolster what's currently been allotted? And then I think secondarily, but also very importantly, is evaluating, positioning a lot of that money towards bondings or preventing bondings in the future. But I think we're waiting for updates on those, but those seem like they're the only questionable projects that we're
Electric
waiting for
City
updates on.
Co-op, we still have the March 12th deadline on them as
Right.
well, so I would add that one to the list.
So
of
the
just-
ones that were out there were Miracle on Craig, the Empowerment Center of Rash's Jury Foundation.
Yep,
There's a question about the Schenectady Foundation, the funding for the accessible food, $950,000. Well, I did mention that the Riverside Park had no plan, even though there's money allocated towards it, just wanna make sure that's there. The Electric City Food Co-op. Bethesda House is asking for additional $400,000. The Proctors is asking to reallocate their money, but there isn't enough money right now, so we talked about revisiting that. the Kiwanis return the money, we have to do a resolution in order to take the money back. And the mayor said that's something that we could, that is a project we can do in-house. We should look at where they really were planning on putting those. And the Stockade Association, we've spent some of that money because we did take the money back we couldn't give it to the Stockade Association because it's a city-owned property, so the city is taking the money back and is doing the project. And we need to get final information from the Stockade Association, is what the mayor is saying, in terms of what they really want to do there. See if I have this.
I just want to add to Mr. Williams was talking just about whatever money we can rescind back to use towards projects so that we don't have to borrow. I just want to highlight an example of the tennis court that we just recently awarded a contract. We allocated $500,000. The project is costing us about $672,000. So there is $172,000 right there gap. And going forward with the city project, I am more than likely most of the project will go overrun. So we have to consider that to kind of keep some funding here to help offset those overruns.
USTA.
And kind of coincide with whatever you're talking there in terms of
I think that's.
Was that-
buying. So those are two things that we need to consider seriously.
So,
Most of these projects, if not all, will overrun.
right, and let me just also say, we should not always be the people that are giving all for the overruns. I'm gonna repeat that over and over again. There needs to be other places where they're getting funds, getting money for their overruns.
No, I'm talking about directly city projects.
Oh, just city
City
projects.
project only, no,
Okay,
no outside
all right,
city project.
okay.
I'm talking about
I agree.
rescinding the money, bring it back, keep it in the house, and look at the city project where we're getting, these project needs to get done, and able to fund, if there are overruns, we need to fund them with ARPA funding.
So we could
So let
get
me
a
just-
list of those as well, I mean, in terms of the projects that.
What's that?
I mean, we could either go through the budget, which I see you have your.
Oh, I have everything.
I know you do. But I mean, we could easily probably just get a list. I
Of
think that's
what?
really smart, to use the money towards the city projects. Is it-
No, and this is a prime example, I mean, $500,000, we were saying back when we awarded this, that 500,000 might be, you know, the ballpark figure, but 172,000.
But that's a good example, because what Mr. Wallen has said is that the USTA is going to be looking for that additional funding, and that's what we wanna see.
Yeah.
That we don't come back and say, how do we have to fund this? So
Right.
that's what we wanna see, that we allocated this, it's more. So this group that really wants the money is trying to figure out how to get the additional fund. That is what we said at the last meeting.
Well, this is the only lucky project.
Well, we have to encourage the other projects to be more like that.
I'm sorry, I think the comment, just looking at the Empowerment Center Dury Foundation. I just would question the wisdom of spending $875 for building rehab and then $200,000 for training. Workforce development, I think, is at a critical juncture in our communities, especially for those in disadvantaged communities. And just rebuilding or building a new program, $200,000 left for program will maybe serve 20 youth, young people. And I can, and all, transparency, I work at a job training agency and I see the challenges our young people have in trying to get them into the workforce. It's difficult and challenging, so I would just question the wisdom of spending this much money on a building and then 200 on an actual program. And it takes significant effort to get these young people in a good direction, a positive direction, to get them in the workforce. A significant amount of programming and support. It's not just showing up and going for training, it's helping them with housing, mental health issues, substance issues, all of that wraparound services. The city of Albany is dealing with that, we're dealing with that. So I would just, my comment would be maybe to relook at that and maybe invest in what some folks that are currently doing that and help them build those community support so these young people can be successful.
So let me just lend a little clarification to the Empowerment Center. The Empowerment Center, the money was not just for youth, it was going to be to help MWBEs and training. That is what that was for within within Hamilton Hill, neighborhood where many people don't get on the projects that are there. So that is what the Empowerment Center was about. It wasn't just for youth.
Is that what the youth incubator used to do?
It did.
What was it developed for?
Yeah, well,
Back?
that's gone through a lot of lifetimes,
Yeah,
it's not an
yeah,
incubator
yeah.
anymore.
Right.
So that was the focus, and this particular application actually came out of our affirmative action office right here in the city of Schenectady. I mean, in City Hall. So that was not just to take youth and train them, but it was for MWBEs and and to make sure that they get their skills. I believe there was also, if any of you reading some of the emails we're getting, there was also, they were talking about trying to help people to get into public service, fire in particular. So they were working with 100 Black men on that.
Okay.
So they were trying to get those are the kind of things that were supposed to take place in the Empowerment Center, not just, not used, because quite frankly, the Empowerment Center and the youth training program came as two separate applications, but then they were merged somewhere along the line. So that's
What's the building address is here, the building they're looking at?
18 Albany Street.
Okay.
It used to be you remember McTapp?
Yes.
Okay, well, it was McTapp's final home before it closed down.
Okay.
So this was, again, trying to sort of kind of replicate some of the services that McTapp was offering, which hasn't happened since McTapp closed. That was the purpose of the Empowerment Center. The other thing that we said we would talk about at this meeting was when we allocated the money for the event center, we asked that there would be could be a community benefits agreement that was agreed upon. And so I asked all of you to, bring to the table any ideas or concerns or what you'd like to see as part of that. So if we could just have that discussion. Anyone have, I do have some things that always have to go first. But, so are there anyone in terms of had an opportunity to look at community benefits agreements, anything they'd like to bring forward? Mr. Williams.
I love going first, so. In my research, I found that it is not improper for elected officials to push forth CBAs also. So I, in my research, found 3 areas that I think would meet what I would expect the neighborhoods to support and how we could intentionally write in areas for them to benefit from this project moving forward. So the first of which was all CBEs that kind of speak towards having a group of stakeholders. So I'm not professing that I know every local organization in the community that would benefit from being at the table, but the ones that I could remember were SUN, the Schenectady United Neighborhoods, just obviously their position to support the needs of our local communities, SICM, Safe Inc., SUNY Schenectady, and the Schenectady City School District to serve as validating agents for incoming events. And what I thought that would help identify is ensuring that events or I guess entertainment venues that came to our community felt like they had the ability to advocate, similar to the community policing panel and how it sits in conjunction with the Schenectady Police Department to advocate for the neighborhood. And in no way would I imagine they would have the sole power to say no, but I think positioning them to be a part of those conversations is something that could empower them and then also make them more vested in incoming events as well. The second was, I am not a event planner, but I would imagine there are going to be days throughout the month where there is unused or less frequented times for events to be conducted. So what I would like to see is a monthly or quarterly listing of unused time that could be offered to the community at an adjusted scale. And then I imagine the Gillespie Group, that is a for-profit organization, would want to put a limit or a threshold on that. But I think that would allow the community residents to be able to utilize that space that we are contributing a considerable amount of their quote-unquote dollars from this ARPA moving forward. And then lastly, I always try to identify a youth scope. I would love to see 2 paid internships or a designated amount of internships offered to our high school students per year, specifically around like operations management or just business analyst strategic operations. And that way it would then create that pipeline for some of our very bright and talented individuals that attend schools in our local school district to have this opportunity to work closely with individuals on, I think we can agree that it's on an elevated level to just see and understand that you don't have to leave this community to start your professional career, and it might help us just identify some bright stars to position them in similar positions moving forward. So those are my 3 recommendations.
Okay, so some kind of website, because I actually went to community members. I didn't try to take it like all from what I thought, because I think it's important. When we were at the other event, I asked people at the event, what would you as a community like to see? So One of the ones is currently, apparently, Union has specific times where they bring kids in to skate.
Yeah.
Like, so for that to be a part of, to be a part of the, and now it's not no longer at Union, so for that to be a part of the community benefits agreement, to make sure that that stays in place. My understanding is there's also skating lessons as that are part of that, so for that to, also stay in place. We already talked about sliding scales. And then this individual asked about incorporating an art gallery within the arena, just having art from local artists or whatever, and having it not painted on the walls, don't misunderstand, but local.
Changing exhibits.
Yeah, changing exhibits like within the arena, and that's something people can enjoy when they come. Then they said Hall of Fame induction, and I guess they just mean having that there. And, but I think soccer is one of the things that we're gonna play, that's on my list. Person who cares about the walkability of Schenectady wants to make sure that there are bike racks, because not everyone's going to drive to get there. And this, actually just came today when there were two people here from the bricklayers. And they're concerned, and this may be something actually that goes into the contract that's drawn up. They were concerned about local contractors being able to work on the project. And since they were here, I wanted to make sure that I brought that forward. We had an opportunity to speak to them in the hallway, Mr. Mudavera and I. Is there anything you wanted to add to that, Mr. Mudavera?
No, I think that's out of our scope. We will we'll redirect them to the relevant personnel.
Right.
So they can have conversation in terms of the Gillespie group, in terms of discussion and how they can able to tap into the workforce there.
But just to know that, I don't know that we don't have any say in that, I'm not sure about that, but I think that, we should be able to make sure that we have as many, local contractors, if that's at all possible. And I did address the MWBE portion when they were here to answer a question, but just to be clear, what was said was, the only part of the MWBE specifically was the 10 million from ESDC, although they plan to do beyond that. So, but the MWBE, it's not, the local contractors were probably not only be MWBE. So just so you know, their local contractors are concerned about being able to work on the project and that the money stays locally. So I think that's information that needs to be, that's relevant for all of us to know. We didn't all have a chance to talk to them. They thought they were coming tonight to actually have that discussion. And so we didn't want them to wait through the whole thing. And so we let them know that that's not the discussion that we were going to be having, and because that's not for us to make those decisions. So just wanted to make sure that that you all knew that. Does anyone else have anything at all in terms of the community benefits agreement?
I'm just going to add to the ESD project. We as a council should encourage our MWBE contractor to meet with the LSE group to kind of work with them and to tap into their workforce there. Because ESD is very serious about MWBE requirement. I first have knowledge of it, so we can able to work with them to direct them to where they need to go to, and to able to follow up and make sure that they have the relevant information to make it happen.
We know that, we had a contractor who's come to us a couple times in the last couple months who has said that, he lives in Schenectady, but he doesn't get to work in Schenectady. So, we should definitely do that. Are there any other, anything else with the community benefits agreement? Any other ideas or thoughts that people had that they wanted to be able to bring forward?
Well, I do think that the aspect of, youth sports and the kinds of lessons, I do think that, there should be that kind of recognition of how do we work that in terms of who gives lessons or that type of thing. So I think maybe a collaboration with the school district as part of it might be the way. I don't know how to word these things or, that kind of thing, but I think certainly a partnership with the school district around the use of the event center as part of the time for these kind of youth sports opportunities would be an important piece. So I like the ideas that Mr. Williams brought forth, especially the internships. I think that's a really interesting idea. I think that if there is going to be a stakeholder group to help think about this community benefits. I'd wanna have more input into who might be a part of that group. What the reasoning would be on, you know, how you pick those stakeholders. And then, yeah, I think Proctor should probably be at
I
some
think so,
point, you know, be at the table, because there was some issue at the very beginning of the discussions about the event center, so it'd be good to have represented, you know, to make sure there's no, I think they would probably wanna be at the table as well as part of that stakeholders
okay.
group, is what I'm saying. And just want to make sure that, I think Discover Schenectady is probably already involved
I would say
with
so,
the project,
yes.
but again, because part of it is going to be able to be used for conferences, maybe there's a way, again, if the school district, for example, was wanting to host a conference of other educators, maybe there could be some sort of significant discount or something like that, around conference planning.
Mayor?
And is council looking to have these things apply to Proctors also? City has a lot more money invested in Proctors, $2.5 million we're gonna put in this event center.
Well, that's a good point, I hadn't thought of that.
So are we asking the Proctors for a community benefits agreement? Is that what you're
That's
asking?
what I'm asking. You know, we're giving
Well-
them some money, you know, is it just this sole project, or is this something we're looking
That's a
to
good point.
apply across the awarding of funds in general?
Well, for me, it was this particular project, we're awarding funds, and there's also going to be a pilot, which is minimal taxes paid. Mr. Bucco said that himself, so when I brought it up, it was around this. The only other community benefits agreement that I'm aware of that we ever did was with BCNI when they were doing the Elmer Avenue project. So, and I know that Proctor's already does a number of things in terms of discounting tickets, et cetera, and so on, so, I'm quite aware of that. Yes, Mr. Toro?
I'd like to, took the words out of my mouth, so I haven't thought of anything that I'd like for the event center to have, but as far as community benefits agreement, I mean, we've handed out money and we haven't put these stipulations on anyone else.
Community benefits agreements generally go with development projects, that's what they usually
Right.
go along with.
So,
Not agencies and organizations, but development projects.
but again, I don't understand why we're just specifically sticking to the harbor, to the event center.
As I
I mean,
said,
who are we to say, that they should give a discount to, events
These are
coming
just
in?
ideas, I mean,
No, I
we'd obviously have
understand,
to
but I
talk
mean,
with them.
they're a business, they're running a business. I'd like to see, there's adults who skate, there's adult sports, things like that. So on downtimes, I would like, those things to happen.
so those are things that you wanna see in there, is that what you're saying?
Sure,
Okay, so
absolutely.
Open skate.
you're doing something.
Open skate for
You know,
youth and adults.
Yes, Mayor,
And I'll try and get skating lessons for the city council.
I'm good.
I want like 3 blades on the bottom of mine.
I'm good. So I just wanna, yes, Mr. Mutavera.
Yeah, I just to address some of the Toro points. Some of the agency that we funded within the community, they're already within the community. So it's, they're benefiting the community, the service that they're providing to the residents is also part of that community benefit that they are providing already. So there's nothing more to add to that, other than they're providing us the report, the outcome, to show that they're actually spending the money, and the money is being spent wisely, and the outcome is there, and it's whatever they set out to achieve.
Right,
So,
okay.
can
Yes,
attach any community benefit to those agencies when they're already serving the community.
I think when Mr. Bucco was here making his presentations both times, he talked about wanting this center to have a community benefit. So I don't think that, I think obviously they'd be involved in these discussions. We were just coming up with some possible ideas, but he clearly made it seem that he was interested in this being a community.
Union College wants to do it, you look at that
Yeah.
site, they do the Harbor Series, which is free, there's no.
Yep.
You do the fireworks, so again, they want to
Yes.
complement the good things that are happening here in the community and have broad-based support. So it's, some of it is not to, as we sit here tonight, we won't necessarily be able to see all the opportunities or scenarios that will present themselves as we go forward, and the utilization at that site continues to increase and add
Right.
value.
Right.
Yes, Mr. Williams.
And then just as a point of clarification, because Ms. DeTore, you said it time and time again, I would say as council members, we were elected to represent the best interests of the city. So I think with regards to this project, again, during the presentation, it was clear that wanting to ensure that the community benefit was at the crux of this project. And my understanding of community benefits agreements is that they just clearly outline so that it is transparent, the expectations moving forward. And again, as what the mayor highlighted, it's a recommendation. This is a conversation. So in no way does what we dictate going to be the end all be all. It again is a conversation. But again, I do think we are the individuals best suited based on our roles to advocate.
And so it's gonna be conversations, negotiations, and there's one thing that you did not, that you brought up at the meeting that you didn't bring up tonight, Mr. Mancini, and that was when, if something happened, if there was a place where people could gather.
Disaster,
Disaster, yeah.
emergency preparedness kind
Yeah,
of thing.
yeah, so you did bring that up and I was waiting for that, but.
Well,
I'm just gonna bring it up.
I was gonna wait, that, you know, part of it is they work. I was letting everybody else talk.
Okay, I'm sorry, I took it
Yeah,
away.
you know, that they work closely with the county and the city event planning, but also the emergency management, in the event that we would need that as a site, that they would be available. And it was, you know, the other idea is working with the city school district and be open to working with a nonprofit network if they had to want to plan events, that they'd be a good community partner in that.
And so again, I was, you know, and it's been said time and time again that the Gillespie Group, Mr. Buca, when he was here, said that, because this is not the Gillespie Group, it's, what's the name of the group, what's the name of it, Mayor? The name of the, company?
Center.
No,
West Avenue.
Yeah,
West
Dark
something.
Properties.
Right, so they, on their behalf, because he is a partner in that particular, LLC, he said that they were willing to do to the community, open to the community to do things. So we're not asking anything outside of what they said they were doing, we're simply saying, we'd like to make it in writing, and that's what business people do, they put things in writing. So I don't think we're going above and beyond or asking for more that they'd already committed to, when they were here, so, that's why we're looking at this, so, for me to follow will be that we'll get all the notes from today, we'll put them together, bring them before the council, and we have to move forward in terms of, meeting with whether the representatives are from the Gillespie Group, because I don't know that they're gonna say that everything that we
oh, no.
ask and we want,
No, yeah.
is going to be there, but I think that we should, that doesn't mean that we shouldn't ask. And then we'll sit down and have those conversations about what that could look like. So I think it's reasonable, and that's how we should move forward, Mr.
So
Mayor.
we're gonna put all this information that
Yes.
here in the draft. Can we discuss it with them prior to us bringing it
Oh,
to the council?
you don't wanna see it all in one concise place
No,
first?
yeah, we wanna see everything together,
Yes.
but can we discuss it with the Gillespie Group? That LLC, partnership, whatever, and kind of work with them to make sure that we have a document, a working document? Or do we wanna discuss it as a council?
I think we should bring our information together, and so we can look at what we talked about tonight, and make sure we're there before we meet with them, to make sure we're clear on what we really wanna ask for, and that we've articulated it well.
Well, they might have things that they wanna put to.
Oh, no, I'm not saying that they won't.
You don't wanna like preempt it and say, well, you discuss this and then we're gonna go to them now on this. Why not work it on the same level? Work with us to get all this information in the draft, work with them to kind of look it over and bring their suggestion, and then have one draft for us to officially discuss.
I think that's a really good idea.
Yeah.
I think bringing them in.
Back and forth will
Because again,
kind
we
of-
were just sort of
Mhm.
brainstorming,
County
putting
gets
it.
an agreement too.
Right,
So our wording should not
Yes,
conflict with the county.
yep.
So I can ask for a copy from the county. And we can look at that.
we should definitely look at that, but, and so we could ask, I think that we do have to definitely, ask what they're, for me, the community benefits agreement, we're asking them to agree to certain things. I don't know that, and then for them, it's will they will or not agree, as opposed to them wanting to say what this is what they want from the community. But, so,
Yeah, kind of late, but I'm thinking back when we did the first one for the Elmo housing project, was back and forth that we had to, if you remember.
I don't think I was.
Yeah, you were on the council. Yes, a couple of us, yeah. Yeah.
So
It
I'll
was a
start-
it was back and forth until, because we drafted, they didn't get a chance, and then they reviewed it, come back to us, and it was like, so we can avoid that by having, shared information across the board and, give them an opportunity.
So
Look
what-
at the one the county has, and able to mirror our draft, like similar to the county, and then kind of run it to them.
Well, and I'll reach out to Mr., I guess, Buco tomorrow and just tell him that if we are discussing this, and if there are things that they would like to see as part of it, and, Mr. Motivaren, you'll get a copy of the counties,
Yes, I will,
right?
and I will share it to the entire
So
country,
they already have done that.
I'm sure.
Mayor, have they already completed theirs?
The county, yes.
Yes, okay, we definitely, okay. So, that's our next steps.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought your hand was up. Okay, is there anything else? Okay, does I need a motion to adjourn?
So,
To adjourn.
no,
Huh?
I raised my hand.
All right, you raised
Motion
it,
to adjourn.
it's the second,
The long speech stuff.
second, Mr. Motivaren?
no,
No?
it's City Development and Planning Committee.
Oh,
1, 2, 3.
oh, yeah, yes,
Again, you did that.
okay.
So you made the motion, I'll second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, you were already-
You were the second. You always causing trouble, man.
You didn't read that thing I gave you.
I'll get it, I
Did you read
did.
it?
I actually need to borrow that book.
No, you didn't, no, we did the big one. That's the abbreviation. It's okay, Joe, it's okay, it really is.
Not that last.